is my street.
What's it called?
It's called St Helen's Road and it's the best street in the world.
I just have I'm beat a bit of a drum about it because of badgers and bovine TB and everything as well. And I just think intensive farming of dairy cows, where they probably aren't naturally meant to be, then disease is going to spread.
Yeah.
Unhealthy farming means
Sticking a flawed on
Going back to the bottles of things though, in Germany they still do, you would still, even your milk that you buy in the supermarket, yeah, they still, well they used to a few years ago, you still take all your bottles back every week.
None of that now, is there?
No, so
then
you'd go to Tesco, the equivalent of Tesco, and
you get a penny on the lemonade.
yeah, and you'd
We used to
get a
take
bit
them
of money, not very
to
much
White's
money,
lemonade was in
White's.
where I grew up.
you know,
Take the bottles.
Yeah, you're doing it right, Mike. You're doing it right. You don't do it. You don't do it all.
You don't have to do it.
Tight.
Keep your bush tight.
Yeah, you keep tight.
That's
all right.
Gotta keep it tight.
The tighter it is,
The bushier your bush.
the tighter it is, the more, yeah. If it's all loose,
Listen, just give me a bit more wire.
quality will work. Yeah, it'll be a really nice. It'll take a while, but it'll be good.
Well, the one thing I've really loved about the transition meetings is the getting together and talking to everybody and actually getting to learn about all the environmental things and the little things that we can do, and everybody's been giving us advice. And one thing I've also loved is the inclusion in actually getting my daughter to go out and do meter readings and that sort of thing, and working out how much energy we're actually using, which I find is very, very useful and very informative as well. I think it's lovely. Thank you very much.
This is my street.
It makes you think more deeply, because every time you come out of a meeting is a new focus area you're thinking about, and it does make you sort of alter your perspective on things. So some things, yes, I think it definitely does. Other things, of course, are obvious and things that you know anyway. But for some people, of course, they would not be the obvious, and it's important to know these things and find out about how you can change your life for the better. It's not your life, it's the life of everyone around you, because all the things that we do, all the different criteria we look at actually affect they have a global effect. Starting from yourself and your house, your community, to the whole world, really, because it's a world problem. And I think it's something that everyone needs to think about. And the more people are aware of it, the more you think about it, the more you're about to do something about it.
This is my street.
Really, really interesting. And the range of topics that we've covered. For example, I really enjoyed the energy one when we discussed our various tariffs, because it's not very often that you can sit down with your neighbours and talk about the various tariffs that you're on and compare how much electricity you're using, and then talk about how long you spend in the shower, which actually meant that I timed how long my husband was spending in the shower, as an example of how much water and energy we were using. I've really enjoyed going through this process with neighbours, and although in our case we were already quite friendly with our neighbours, we were having conversations of a sort that you wouldn't normally have if you met in a social environment. So whereas we might get together and have a good old gossip and talk about very topical issues, this was very different because we were being given an agenda and some topics to work through, that meant that we were raising issues that we wouldn't normally discuss with the people that we live with.
This is my street, St Helen's Road.
Okay. Most important thing to me was sharing my passion for saving energy and electricity, gas, and sharing that with everybody, the meetings, the discussions with everybody. Absolutely amazing that we can now take soft waste which isn't collected from our street, that we can take that to Kate's house, and that we can just generally share all our ideas, put ideas together. Absolutely amazing.
My street.
My part of the transition working group was to talk about transport, and so part of the preparation I had to look at the documentation before, and I looked at a website online that it gave us some details about, and it talks about your driving behaviour and how to anticipate the driving. And the two tips it gave me were, one, try not to brake, and secondly, don't stop. And the reason for that, of course, is if you stop, then you've got to start again, and starting wastes fuel. So that intrigued me a little bit, and I tried it out. I work in Bournemouth, which is about a 30-mile drive, and one day on the way to Bournemouth I drove normally, as I would normally drive, and my little readout in my car gave me a miles per gallon of 48 miles per gallon, which was fine. But on the way home from work, I thought I'd take in these tips, as in don't brake and don't stop. And it was quite difficult because you've got to really anticipate the driving conditions and look ahead. But I did it all the way home. I didn't use my brakes unless I really had to, but I didn't stop. I anticipated the roundabouts and the traffic lights, etc. And on the way home, my fuel consumption went up to 53 miles per gallon, which was quite intriguing for me. I thought that was a really good example of how, by just anticipating the driving conditions and being ready for roundabouts and traffic lights, you can improve your fuel consumption. So that was my example of how this transition workshop worked well for me.
This is my street.
One of the things we learnt in Transition Together was about dripping taps, and one of our neighbours had a little device so that you could open up the tap, because we had a dripping tap, and then you clean out the inside of the tap and put it all back together, and it stops it dripping again, because you learn how much water you're losing just by the tap dripping, so that was really helpful.
Yeah. This is my street.
So one of the best things that I learned was in the energy section, and we were talking about energy around the home, and it advised to put silver foil backed with foam behind the radiators, especially the radiators that were on the outside of walls of the rooms.
Come on, get a box, go ahead, get a shot, I'm gonna bring a jackpot, bigger than that. Put in my belly and I see my belly and I'm not going to bring me down.